Well, I think about obviously International Women's Day. To me, Women's History Month, I always sort of, because I'm a Black woman, I like to focus on Black women. History Month. I'm just gonna be real. I do. So, those are the types of women that I like to reflect on during this time of year. But I think it's important that we do have these months where we can sort of focus on reflecting back on those who made a difference for us and helped to open up pathways for us to make our lives a little bit easier than it would have been otherwise. Hmm. Well, a lot of things. Um, I think there is a strength in women of color and particularly Black women that is powerful, and I think it's so powerful that it scares some people. Um, I really do believe that. Black women, we've had to be strong, given, from the discussion that we had previously, given our history, we have had to be strong. And I think that in contemporary society, one of the things that I am somewhat, not even somewhat, disappointed and saddened by is the fact that oftentimes our strength is misinterpreted. And sometimes we are chastised because people see our strength and they can't really understand how that is something that doesn't take away from our femininity. And they see our strength and they think that we are angry, or they have these other sort of descriptives of us, but we are strong because we've had to be strong. And I think that if we weren't strong, we wouldn't be here as a people. Okay. So I think that our strength should be revered and should be respected and should not be denigrated in the way that I often see it denigrated. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it allows me a space to be able to document our history and be sure that our stories are told from our perspectives, such that they will be here for the future generations to hear um, from us directly. Uh, to me, the most powerful thing about books is that it allows you to encapsulate a thought or encapsulate a moment in time that can last forever. You know, people 200 years from now, theoretically, could read this book and understand what it was like for a Black woman living in this time. And I think that power is it's amazing. I have so much respect for the written word because it has the ability to be um, to expand and move beyond any one specific lifetime. They need to buy the book. I say that jokingly, but it is serious because I do break it down. I mean, there are different approaches also depending upon in what area you're focused. So that's why I have a focus on leading in corporate America versus leading in nonprofit America versus leading as an entrepreneur versus being a public servant. Each of those are different environments, different cultures, different expectations, and different qualities that really need to be sharpened in order to exceed in those different environments. And so I sort of break all of those down in the book. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely men can read this book. A lot the leadership principles, to be perfectly honest with you, for the most part, I can't think of any off the top of my head that would be different, are applicable across different genders. But I have centered it on the Black woman's experience. So I talk about the fact, for example, that as Black women, we often find ourselves sort of outside of the primary focus of various initiatives and organizations. So, for example, when people think of Blackness, they think of men typically. When people think of women, they think of white women typically. And so we have rarely been the center of focus or analysis. I'll give you one quick example. if you look at the Fortune 500, there have only been 15 Black CEOs in the entire history of the Fortune 500, which is bad enough in and of itself. But of that 15, there's only been one Black woman.
Dr. Weaver, I have such a confession. I just found out in the chat room that my mic was off.
Oh no!
No, not for the whole duration. When we came back.
Okay.
So let me see. Wow, I asked you some impromptu question. All right, we'll see during the edit. But I asked you to tell us how exceptional Black women lead, and the explanation that they heard just now was because I asked you if you can tell us that, or should they buy the book, and then I also asked if men can read the book. Absolutely. So I think this is what I love about these conversations, that, I mean, it's serious, but we don't have to take ourselves too seriously again.
Absolutely.
I want to go to the tagline of your book.
Yes.
Unblocking the secrets to phenomenal success in career and in life.
Yep.
Can you open that up a little?
Yeah. So, there are things, as I was just mentioning to some of my friends, success rarely happens on accident, right? Success is planned. Success is plotted out. Success is strategized. Success comes as a result of specific strategic action, commitment and action, right? Decision, decide, commit, succeed, So there are certain things that you need to do to position yourself for success. And so really the book is about, well, what are those secrets then? What do you need to do? And so really the book is about being able to condense down those strategies, those actions, those habits that these women have implemented in their lives to create success, not only in their careers, but in their personal lives as well. So it's about being very intentional about creating this thing called holistic success. I personally believe it's possible. I personally I believe, live it. And I want to help other people get to a space where they can create a life that's reflective of holistic success in their lives as well.
What was one memorable experience you had when interviewing these exceptional Black women?
Oh my God, there's so many. It's so many. So many. Okay. So a couple of people that I have in the book that I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing from. I have some amazing organizational leaders, for example, in the book. I have the international president of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. I have the international president of Supreme Bacillus of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, my sorority. I have the president of 100 Black Women of America. And so some of the stories that some of these women told were just like amazing. So I'll give you one quick example. The president of Delta Sigma Theta, Dr. Pauletta Walker, she was so funny. Okay, so this woman, this sister, oh my God, just bold, okay, bold. She sued her. In the Black Lives Matter movement, she's also one of the founders of Black and Brown People Vote. When I look at the Black Lives Matter movement, a movement that was ultimately started and conceived and is still largely organized and led by Black women, I see the power and the future of Black women's leadership in these young sisters that are out there in the street, and then also, in addition to in the streets, behind the scenes, doing those things that need to get done to make sure that we're having advancement. So what we see on the news is one side of the coin. We don't know all the work that goes into the other side of the coin that makes that possible. And the people who are doing that work are by and large Black women, as frankly has always been throughout our history of movements in this country.
As you travel around the country and speak with women in leadership position and speak to women on leadership, what are some typical reactions to your message?
I think women are inspired. Women like to have their reality affirmed. That's one thing. I think they like to know that what they're experiencing, they are not in isolation. For a lot of us, we are in professional situations where we may be the only one, at our level, or the one of few. And in those sort of experiences can be very isolating and can be very lonely, and you can begin to question yourself. But it's very affirming to know that some of the challenges that you are going through, other people are or have gone through, and you can make it through. And just being able to hear, what you need to do to get there. For a lot of women, it's life changing. It just makes them feel like, I can do it. If they can do it, then I can do it too.
So here is a young woman, an educated woman, beautiful, fit, and in good health. Yet she's not confident she can lead. How do you explain that?
What I explain to her is, what I would say is that, if it is your desire to be a leader, then know that you have the capabilities to do it. The first and essential step to leadership is first knowing that you can do it, knowing that it's possible. Believing.
Believing you can do it.
Yeah. It's so essential. Now, okay, I have to admit to you, I am a huge fan of The Matrix. That is like my most favorite movie ever.
Oh, mine too.
But whenever I think about this concept, I think about that scene in The Matrix where Neo goes and he meets with the Oracle. Remember?
Yes.
And he meets with the Oracle, and the Oracle, looks at his hand. She's like, like, what do you think I'm going to say? And he's like, I'm not the one. And she tells him, he says, honey, you got the gift, but you're waiting for something.
You're waiting?
You're waiting for something. You got the gift, but you're waiting for something. I don't know what it is. You're waiting for something. What he was waiting for, as you find out through the course of the movie, is he's waiting for him to believe it. He doesn't believe he's the one himself.
Yes.
Until he is whispered in his ear, I know you're the one because I was told I would fall in love with the one, and you're
giving me goosebumps, man.
Exactly. Then he realizes it. Once he believes it, then he lives it. And the same concept is true in our lives.
Yes.
For you to be able to get to that next level, you have to believe before anybody else believes that you can do it. You have to believe it first. Before we had a Barack Obama in the White House, he had to believe that he could be the first, that he could do it. Before anybody believed it, he had to believe it. Before he asked for that first donation, he had to believe it. Before he asked for that first vote, he had to believe it. When all those people were telling him that he needed to wait, that it wasn't the right time, that he was too young, that he was a junior senator, that he was black, named Barack Hussein Obama, he had to believe it. And so with any goal that you have in life, despite what the naysayers might think or say, you have to convince yourself, number one. And then the second thing you need to do is protect your belief, because there will always be those who say that you can't, or that you should wait, or that the time isn't right, or something is wrong with you, or something. You have to protect your dream, believe it and protect it, commit to it and implement. That's really what you have to do.
You've just spoken to me, as you've spoken to many others, but you've just spoken to me, and that resonates well. It's like having a bunch of keys, and the keys could be education, access, financial competence, all these different things, but the last key is belief.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. If you don't have that, you don't have anything.
Where do you draw your inspiration?
I have to say, I was so blessed as a young person to be born into a family that just poured into me love and confidence.
Wow.
And from day one. I mean, I can't imagine, I don't even remember a day when I didn't think that I could do whatever I wanted to do, or that I could be whatever I wanted to be. I mean, my family just built me up like that. And I think part of the way they built me up like that is that they shared their stories with me, about what they went through growing up. Like that story that I shared with you about my mom and how her daddy, I've been hearing stories like that all my life. And so when you hear stories like that from the time that you're like, can begin to hear stories, then you understand how amazingly powerful your family is, how amazingly powerful your people are. I never, unfortunately, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers passed away before I was born, but you know, for me to imagine the strength of a Black man in that era,
Yeah.
to stand there and tell a white man to his face, I didn't raise any daughters to work in a white man's kitchen. How can you not have pride when you come from that?
Yes.
So I've always had that in me, and I think that that has, you know, I've been fortunate because I think it's just catapulted me in life in a way that a lot of people have to build themselves up to, because they aren't poured into like that initially. They have to go out there and build it up, but it's possible. You have to, and to me, it's about that history. It's about knowing who you are, from whence you came, the power. You know, this idea that you have to creating a sustainable business that is successful.
When are you most happy?
When am I most happy? Oh, wow. When I'm surrounded by family. I mean, I just had, for example, this past weekend that when I had my parents up here, I took them to the White House. It was their first time at the White House. And so it was one of my life goals to make sure that they got there. I fortunately had the opportunity of taking my sons on several occasions, but being able to take my parents was a special thing for me. So it was great having my parents up, having my boys, and just having the family together. To me, that's the best. Those are the happiest moments.
Avis, once again, always a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
It's always enlightening and informative. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
I really
welcome.
enjoyed it.
Good night.
Good night.